All right, we're back and turning to the domestic front. The White House is now hinting at a timetable, at least sort of, for replacing Attorney General Eric Holder, who announced his resignation on Thursday. White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest says the Senate should act quickly to confirm once the president names a nominee, but he didn't say when that nomination might come. Technically, officially, it can't come until Congress is back in session. Of course, they're all out campaigning right now. White House Press Secretary cited recent precedent in an appeal for swift confirmation.
And in less than a month, December 6th, Secretary Gates was confirmed to his post with strong bipartisan support. So there is a precedent for presidents making important cabinet nominations and counting on Congress to confirm them promptly, even in the context of a lame duck session if necessary.
Yesterday, Attorney General Holder told our own Joy Reid that his resignation will not affect the White House's agenda or the president's mission.
People have to understand something. Barack Obama is still the president of the United States, all right? He and I share a worldview. I did the things that he wanted me to do. We are partners. My departure is not going to have any impact on this administration's commitment to the civil rights issue that has been the life of this president.
So what do we think is going to happen when President Obama nominates his next attorney general? So I thought there was something kind of clever here in how they're doing this, because there is nobody, almost nobody, who the right has enjoyed beating up on and just going after for the last 6 years than Eric Holder. You know, Fast and Furious, holding him in contempt, all of this stuff. So what the White House is saying here is not just Eric Holder is going away and now we want to appoint somebody else. They're saying Eric Holder is going away, but he's only going away once somebody new is confirmed. So basically, Republicans, you want this guy who you have railed against for 6 years gone, then get somebody new in there. You don't get somebody new in there, you're stuck with Eric Holder.
Nonetheless, I think Ted Cruz called on his colleagues actually to maybe not leave this choice to the lame duck session and maybe push it and to fight and make sure they had somebody that.
Well, and that's a key difference potentially, because
I don't know who that would be.
But control of the Senate, right, is on the line in November. So the lame duck, we already know Democrats will have the majority in the lame duck session. If you push it beyond the lame duck session, a decent chance Republicans are going to have a majority in the Senate at that point.
I just want to say, like, I'm not so sad he's leaving either. That, you know, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if the Republicans can find somebody worse on civil liberties. If that's, or we actually get an improvement. I mean, that's someplace that they've actually criticized Eric Holder, and he's been terrible. I mean, he's been the worst attorney general for journalists, you know, probably in decades. And I don't know, I mean, it's sort of weird to see like this happening and the right getting so happy, and then I feel like civil libertarians are kind of like stuck kind of holding their, you know, like biting their tongue, because like this has been a disaster for us. And that's not getting talked about, because instead, like, he is such a lightning rod. And I do have a lot of personal respect for him. I do think the stuff he's done on civil rights is really important. But, you know, those two things are linked. I mean, when you start silencing journalists, when you start putting journalists in jail, when you start letting corporations do what they want because they're too big to jail, the people that get hurt by that are the people who are minorities, who are the less powerful in society.
Yeah, I think Holder's been quite a bit to the right of where people think he is. On specific issues, absolutely. He's, you know, he's to the left of center, left of, probably even with a majority of middle of the road Americans. But if you take everything in toto, he's actually quite a bit to the right of where everybody thinks he is.
Well, it's interesting that the civil rights aspect of his legacy has been very much in Obama's second term. It's something that's not where he started. I mean, he always had these principles, but the real push in those areas has really been in the last 2 years for Holder, and there's a argument that he shifted what his legacy would have been if he'd left at the end of the first term. You know, when we talk about civil rights, that also includes gay rights, it includes helping bring the administration around on marriage equality. But you know, this is the Department of Justice that could have had a role in NSA spying, and didn't.
Well, so the other question here too is who would want this job at this point? Because I was thinking about it. It's like, you know, the Obama presidency. It'll be 8 years. But no matter what happens the next 2 years, I think whenever history looks back at the Obama administration, you'll think the Attorney General is Eric Holder. That was where the most consequential stuff happened. That's where the mission was set. So I'm seeing all these names floated, some pretty big names, some like, Deval Patrick in Massachusetts. And I'm saying, let's say you get confirmed, you're going to have a little less than 2 years of the job in sort of the worst 2 years in any administration, the lame duck 2 years. This is a job more for sort of a placeholder, it feels, at this point.
Or somebody who's making some transition. A lot of the names that have been mentioned are, well, Donald Verrilli, who's the Solicitor General, moving from one kind of administration job to another, and also maybe a senator. So maybe the senators
Claire
won't
McCaskill.
be so.
But why dig that up? You got like somebody's
the
saying
White House.
Kamala Harris from California,
She's already said-
right? Political future. She took her
No.
for good reason, right?
Yeah, why
Because she
would
could be
you do
governor
that?
of California in a couple years. You're sidetracking
And
yourself
God
if you
knows,
do
and
that.
who knows what else. But
I think it's going to be somebody. It's got to be somebody inside. Borelli's a great example.
Yeah.
Somebody inside who knows everybody, doesn't have any bugs on them, can slide right through without too much nonsense. You don't want to wait till the next session. Definitely not wait till the next session. Too much. You give up too much optionality. You do it now, and somebody who's inside the.
And I don't
Right.
think it's going to be a woman because you nominate a woman for the lame duck part of the administration, I think would look weird. So I think they are going to choose like a
point.
placeholder type person.
Yeah, no, and like I say, the
the
big variable too. Again, there's a decent chance Republicans take back the Senate. So at that point, if that happens, you really have to do it in the lame duck.
You don't want to throw it
If
to
you're
caution to the wind and say,
Democrats.
okay, we're going to bet on holding on to the Senate, so why don't we let it slide to the next? You don't want to.
Yeah, so that means a name. If that's true, a name should be coming very soon. So we'll keep a
Very
close eye on that. Should point out that